And we're back.
Ba-ba-bum. Hello. Welcome to June.
And we finally have Ashley.
Yay, I'm back.
Finally.
I did not disappear, I promise.
Been so long.
Since you've been gone.
Since you've been gone.
We've been recording, but
Every week.
the same. Anyway.
No, we missed Ashley. And we have our first, well, not our first guest. This would be like, what, our second?
Introducing
Because of Moxie?
special guest referee.
Yeah. Jason Bartholomew House.
Thank you.
Mark.
I'm glad to be here. I'm glad y'all invited me.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Men's health. Take it seriously. Physically, mentally, emotionally.
Yeah, we got the emotional one in my lap.
Oh, yeah. And our other surprise guest, the baby. It's okay, so you'll hear baby paws.
Possibly dog paws.
He'll get his own set of headphones.
And don't
Right.
forget the Steve
We
replies.
like it.
And his own little mic for him to
Yes.
pair up.
We're going to do like a little baby mic. Okay.
Alright.
So, Ash is going to read for us a letter that we got actually through Planet Fitness. It was pretty cool because we actually dropped cards.
I know. We, go
And
to
they
the,
found it.
we got to go to the gym and pump iron. We got to do the push-ups and the 1, 2, 3.
And she's going to read for us. Oh my god. He dropped it.
Bro, this cookie thing is disgusting. So, my kids didn't have these when they were younger. Like, I don't know what this is, but it's like a dog, but
Look like a
Ew,
beanie
dude.
weenie from a distance.
It does. It actually looked like
it's
like a
so
roll
gross.
up,
Like,
like-
the only place that stays not wet is right where his hand goes. So, like, if you don't touch right in the middle, it's disgusting.
it
Anyways.
looks like a granola.
Stop it.
Looks like a stick.
Sorry.
It's pretty much like it's like a dog bone, dude.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's like a little dog I roll up.
It doesn't have
Dental
that same
stick.
like texture. It looks like it, but it doesn't have that texture.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not what the podcast is
Alright.
about.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
apologize. So, okay, we're gonna start with our first letter: men's health awareness.
Okay.
I believe you. Jump in the line. Anyway.
All right, dear Trash Talk, I've been listening to you for about a month, and you make me laugh. I heard Hoss. I don't know why it's so hard to say. I heard Hoss.
Knew it. That's your name.
You know, Andrew's that hog.
It's like a tongue twister. All right. I heard Hoss talking about Men's Health Month for June and just wanted to write in. Y'all make me feel less lonely and make me laugh harder and more genuine for the first time in years. Because most of the time I do feel alone. Y'all seem really chill. I found your card, by the way, at Planet Fitness. Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
Good job dropping them. Hold on. We lost the disgusting cookie. Pause.
Baby paws.
Where was I? Alright, my issue isn't really an issue though. It's more just an observation for all men. Being a man in today's world sucks. I seem to come across a lot of people who genuinely just don't take my feelings into consideration. It's almost as if, because I am a man, my emotions, feelings, and thoughts are only supposed to be about things that matter to all guys. Or it's as if I'm not supposed to have them at all. I suppose having no feelings and treating girls like shit or praising those that treat them like shit is some random male code you get from birth. Almost like there's the stigma of this book we're all supposed to abide by. And I'm confused as well as fed up. I know women and girls have it hard, I don't doubt that one bit, but being a guy really sucks sometimes too, and you rarely hear about it. You don't feel like you have any real friends, and the ones you do consider your friends literally are the example most women think are all pigs. Or there's the women who take advantage of the nice ones because a pig-headed man took advantage of them. How are us, quote-unquote, nice guys supposed to survive in a world filled with assholes always getting what they want, and we're left picking up the pieces wondering what we did wrong? I don't know. After today's workout, I suppose it made me really get into that dark void of thinking. I'd like to hear a lot of guys' different opinions on it, because because I haven't been able to find one guy who wants to just hold a conversation without it being about getting laid. Y'all rock. Keep it up. I mean,
he's not wrong though if you think about it.
yeah.
Like, there's a lot of guys out there that technically make it into almost like a mission, but that's just from like the few that I've seen. I feel like girls are worse. No offense.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like they're worse. I don't know why. There's like 1,000 reasons why, and we might get hate for that comment, but
I feel like the state the world is in now, like, girls are savages.
Yeah.
So, like, I get it. But I feel like at the same time, like, women got to that point because of, like they said, like, the people mistreating them before that, and so they've come accustomed to that stigma too, and they're like, well, fuck the dudes.
Quote unquote bad boy syndrome.
Yeah.
I can totally relate with what he's saying because I personally have gone through it many times. And in fact, I have a friend, she's now currently married, but I used to have to talk to her about her problems with guys that she was chasing that were that stereotypical guy that, you know, wanted to hit it and quit it, or
yeah.
and you know, it's tough for a guy like myself because I don't agree with a guy doing that, but unfortunately they do it and they think it's the cool thing, where if a girl does it, it's that double standard effect and it's BS, and I don't think any of that should be going on to begin with. I think everybody should be just treated properly, equally.
Yeah. And it sucks because, like, there's only a good percentage of the world that's in that same mindset. Most of them, like I said, it's like a conquest or something. It's almost like as many as possible before a certain age. Just feels like you don't really enjoy it. Just feels like work, and it shouldn't be work. It should be something that you just naturally fall into. But guys get it, and girls, you know, girls get it really bad, but there are the good guys that suffer at the hands of, I guess, the bad boys that ruin girls and their trust, and then they're always questioning, you know, who are they texting, or, you know, what are they doing, or why haven't they texted me back, or why haven't they done this, you know, because somebody else in their past has done it to them.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I even, like, with the younger kids, like my nephew, he said it's hard to date just, you know, as like a middle school kid. You know, he's out there looking, and, you know, he's a good kid. He's got good grades. He's got a good head on his shoulders. He's in, like, JRTC and stuff like that. But he said it's almost like the girls just kind of gave up on the guys. And, like, it's not even an option. Like, you know, back, I guess, in our day, it was like, you know, writing notes and, oh, 1 minute this guy's dating this girl, and the next minute he's dating her best friend. And kind of pass it around the circle until you found out who you fit best with, I guess. You know what I mean? But now it's like, no, I can't do that because every single girl in my school is dating another female because they just have this other perspective of guy. And it's not even like I don't think it's like a gay straight thing, to be honest. I think they're young kids, and it's easier than trying to figure guys out. It's like, well, I'll go date this girl and, you know, not have to worry about the boys. But then you got all these boys stuck, like, you know, then they're going to go into, like, high school or college and not know how to have a decent relationship because they didn't have the opportunity.
Yeah.
And then you got all the social media platforms and dating sites that kind of makes it even more difficult, you know, because there's so many people talking to so many people at one time, and it's hard to focus and get to learn a certain person if you like them or not, because they're busy talking to others, and and vice versa.
Yeah. Plus, on top of that, like, I don't know, I was more friends with guys than I was girls. Back then, it was just a little bit different because nobody got offended easily. So, if somebody was, I guess, quote unquote, like, dating, they weren't exclusive. They were just kind of like going to the movies, or they were going out to eat or something like that. And if it just didn't work out, you know, it didn't work out, and if they eventually started dating like one of the other friends in like the group or whatever, sometimes it just matched up better. And then, you know, now, shit,
Oh yeah.
that doesn't happen anymore.
I had a fair amount of like, I call it like younger toxic, because it's not like grown-up toxic relationships, but like you're young kids and like you break up for stupid reasons, or you're fighting about like this girl looked in your direction, just petty stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So when I moved here, I was like, you know, I'm not gonna keep doing that, and so I kind of did what the kids are doing now. Like, I dated girls. Well, I ended up dating more girls than guys,
Yeah.
but I had the same issues. I quickly found, like, this is not much different. If anything, it was more intense. Like, it was more emotions to deal with. So kudos to the guys for putting up with the female emotions, because...
Yeah, like I said, we're probably going to get, like, a lot of hate from it. Like, we're going to get a lot of hate. They're like, oh, you went against your own, but...
I'm really not, though. I mean, ultimately, I ended up with a guy, but...
Same. But girls are so...
But I had that stigma, like they're talking about. Like, at that point in my life, I was like, all the dudes are pieces of shit.
Yeah.
I don't even want to waste my time. I'm not even going to give them my energy. So it's like, I get where they're coming from. Like, how do you take back everything somebody's been through and try to convince them that you're not going to be like that? Like, how...
How do you reverse the past?
Right, you can't. You literally cannot reverse that past. I mean, I guess enough efforts would help, but I have no idea where that went.
And one
It's at my
bad
feet, I
thing,
think it's fine.
one bad thing I think that goes on with girls, and it's not all girls, but it's a lot of girls. They say, "Well, I want X, Y, Z." Physically, that's what they say out loud, but in actuality, in their brain, they want A, B, C, and it's totally different. So when you present X, Y, Z to them as they say they want, then you're that nice guy stigma that, like the email was talking about, and everything. And it's like, okay, this is what you say you want, but in actuality, is it truly? You know, that's just words coming out your mouth.
Baby
and
paws.
the actions are different.
I think it just goes with, like, they're telling you what they want, but when it comes to actually being in the moment, it changes, because in their mind it's completely different than when it actually happens in reality. Girls are just emotional, and like I said, I know me and Ashley are gonna get a lot of hate for that, but girls they're super emotional. And then there's guys that are just, you know, pig-headed or
Yes.
Stereotypical
depressed
male.
or, you know, have anxiety or whatever, just come across wrong, something
The stereotype.
where, yeah, it's like the stereotypical, you know, stay away from those guys because, you know, they're pig-headed, and then the good ones get trashed on
Yep.
for those guys.
So many
Yes.
in the past have destroyed everything.
Yeah, because it only takes one
One
to
bad
ruin it
apple
for the
to ruin a
rest of
bunch.
them, and it sucks.
Yep.
We'll say, I think, like, being persistent, like, from the guy standpoint, like, if you're persistent about somebody, that just shows a lot in general, because a lot of those issues is the persistent behaviors. It's one day they're okay, the next day they're not okay, or they're being treated like crap, and that's like what women get used to. And I'm not saying that guys don't, because guys have those relationships too. Think about how many guys or girls have been swayed in a way in the beginning of a relationship. Everything, no matter what relationship, who relationship, it always starts out great. Otherwise, it wouldn't start a relationship.
That's where the concept
So,
of the honeymoon phase
right,
comes
the
in.
trauma comes later on, but that makes you weary going into a new relationship, because you're like, okay, well, this all sounds good and great, but like, till when?
Yep.
Like, till when?
Oh,
And
yeah.
that enough can cause stresses. I mean, it can cause paranoia. That's when you start, you know, having trust issues and stuff, just because you are so worried that it's going to go back to how it was. And it ultimately comes down to that, I think, like a trust thing. And it's hard to get back, but I think if you stay persistent with it, like as the guy,
Yeah.
eventually they'll be like, oh, okay, like, this is real shit.
Well, it also goes with, like, not punishing other people for what someone else has done.
Well said.
Yeah. And that's a big one for, like, a lot of people. You can't punish the next one for what 2, 3, 4 people, what your parents, whoever, did to you in the past. Like, you're not always going to find the same person. It may seem like that if it's, like, a back-to-back thing, but you're not always going to find the same, I guess, personality, just with a different face. You have to at least give them a chance, you know, to prove themselves, because actions are going to speak louder than words.
Yes.
That's my 2 cents. That's how I feel about friendships, relationships, anything. Like, just at least give them a chance. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but at least you'll know. Instead of always wondering, hey, what could have been, because I held myself back from blah, blah, blah. But then if it does end badly, double-edged sword just hit my mic. Look at the little thing on the screen. That's gonna hurt. My bad. I'll put a little warning in there at 15 minutes.
15 minutes closer.
I hit my mic. But
I have a couple women in my life that I've heard them say, you know, like throughout their relationships or failed relationships, it's, you know, they feel like they attract those people. Mm-hmm. They feel like they, you know, that's the only people they ever find, no matter what the scenario. And I don't know. I wonder if guys have that same thing. Like if they feel like, God, I always find the crazy bitches. You know,
those two over there across the table could answer that.
Like, do y'all feel like that too, or have you, or know people that feel like that? Like, it's just me. Like, you know, you get down on your luck and you feel like it's you. Like you're the problem.
You literally read my mind because that's what I was waiting to.
But do you think it's because of that crappy relationship, like it made you feel like that, or because it's happened more than once with more than one person?
It's happened more than once with more than one
at that point, it's like, okay, there's a repetitive problem. You're the problem.
Closer to the mic, then you tell us.
There's it's a curse, if you will. You know, you get with someone, you know, it started like way back in like 6th grade, you know. It's like, oh man, you know, hey, take this girl to the movies, you know, I buy her little presents, you know, treat her like a queen, this, that, the other. And then one day in class, she goes, you know what? I think I like that guy over there. You know, and it's like, well, okay. And then she gets with that guy, and a couple weeks later, she's like, oh crap, it wasn't what I thought it was. Let me try to go back. Yeah, no, game over.
Grass is greener on the other side.
I actually dated a girl, and unfortunately, it was a little long distance. And we had been together approximately a year. Mm-hmm. Well, out of the blue, and granted, she won't, I guess you would say, cheated, but she told me, hey, I talked to this guy. I'd like to meet him, so I want to break it off with you because I don't want to, quote unquote, cheat on you with this guy. So I said, do what you don't do, whatever. You know, I'm not going to get into any arguments with you. She was
talking to him. She was already doing it.
So,
Dirty bitch.
Anyway, she started
She makes me mad.
talking to him, like, as in going to get with him, like we were just talking about. It didn't turn out to be what she thought it was. The grass won't greener on the other side. And she tried to come back to me, and I had already told her, you know, if you leave this, you know, there's no coming back, because, I mean, yeah, I appreciate you didn't technically cheat, but at the same time, you are leaving me to go pursue another gentleman. So,
which you were already talking to him too, so it's like,
yeah.
I mean,
that's basically like, well, if this doesn't work out, I'll be back. Like, no.
Yeah. And she tried to say one time, and this is before I was even married and everything. She said, well, if you're not married at 35, maybe we can get back together and get married. And I said, I don't think so. I said, and I'm technically associated with her somewhat, but I'm not real close friends with her, and I would never even consider bringing her into a relationship status.
Do I know her?
You don't know her, but you know of her.
I know of her, right?
Yeah, she's actually on my social media, and similar to your name.
Oh, that bitch. I remember now. I'm sorry. I had to get the tea.
Yeah. And then, of course, you know, along with another relationship that I had, I should have seen the red flags to begin with, but I didn't. And you know who I'm talking about because you were pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And literally, Steve in there making it.
I'm sorry, Steve. Pause.
But anyway, sorry about that. So while we would be all hanging out, she couldn't come along, which is understandable because of her kids at the time. But she would literally, I would tell her, well, let's say if we were watching a wrestling pay-per-view or something, I would tell her what we were doing. She would literally call every 5 to 10 minutes, blowing up my phone, swear that I was cheating or something when nothing like that was going on. And when Trish was in the hospital having
Birth and Chomp.
so when
Chomp's like, no.
she was blowing up my phone and upset because I was up there and everything, which it literally made no sense. Like, you know where I'm at, you know I'm up here with my best friends, so, and they're having their child, which is my godchild, and yet you're still going to ruin a moment that can't be reproduced of that caliber.
She wasn't the center of attention anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Even though I wasn't welcome into her household.
Which goes along with the back-to-back, like, finding people that are literally the same. So, yeah, I can understand those situations. Like, it's like I said, a double-edged sword. Sometimes it doesn't work out, and then you kick yourself in the butt, and you're like, why did I even try? Because at least you lived, you know?
At least, I feel like sometimes, too, like, depending on how long you stay in that situation, like whether they're just treating you like crap or whatever, outside of, you know, getting to know them and everything, like if you put time and effort into somebody and it's just a steadily like toxic environment for you, like it's hard to get out of that, but once you get out of that, it's hard to get rid of that mentality because you've been through trauma and you might not even realize it. Like, you are still holding on to everything you've been through because you've been... So, it's not that these people find you. That's what you've gotten used to. And so, even though your brain, like you say, you don't see the red flags, but you should have, it's because your brain says, hey, I'm going to give this person a chance. But ultimately, like, somewhere deep in there, it's like some morbid shit. I don't know, like, somewhere in your brain says, hey, there's something toxic about them, and you dealt with that before, so you should go for that. Like, I think that's crazy, but it's like some science about it. I don't know what it is. Something in your brain makes you say, like, this is familiar. Mm-hmm. So go to it versus being like, hey, red flag, don't do that. You just did that. You just got out of that. It's like what your brain is used to.
Plus, on top of that, it makes you sit there and think, well, if I don't try this, then I'm missing out. Like, what if this is, like, the person for me, and because of my past, you know, I'm not going to go for it, and then I miss my chance to, like, for happiness or what have you, because we had a few people in the past who were like that, even though they saw the red flags, and you know who I'm talking about. They would sit there and say, oh, well, I just feel like if I don't even go for it, then I'm going to miss my chance. And I'm like, no, if you see the red flags now, it's showing you what your future is going to be like. Like, you're literally giving them permission to treat you bad.
Yeah.
That's my 2 cents.
I'd say, like, I know quite a few of them, people I went to school with and whatnot, that even people in the military that have been through the ringer so many times with different people, got, like, baby daddies, or, you know, they've got, you know, bad relationships where they were abused mentally and physically, and then they go to the next one thinking the same thing, and then they get love bombed at the beginning, and then it turns into the same one, and then it goes back and forth, and then now that's all they go to, because once you get 3 or 4 relationships that are similar, it's almost like you get where you fall in love with your captor.
Oh.
Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah,
that's what you get. You end up with a Stockholm because you're like, boyfriend A beat me, boyfriend B degraded me, boyfriend C controlled me, boyfriend D, you know, abused me. So now I go to boyfriend E, and he could be generally a good guy, you know, a guy that, you know, does everything for you, and you're still stuck in the mentality that he's always going to attack you. So you literally self-sabotage your own relationship.
Yeah. My thing is like, so how do you avoid it though at the same time? Like, if your brain doesn't tell you, hey, red flag, do you just maybe being open and honest. Like, hey, I just got out of a toxic ass relationship. Like, what kind of crazy? Because, you know, some girls are, like, proud about being fucking crazy.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Oh,
instead of that, maybe being like, well, what do you mean by that? I need you to elaborate. Like, are you going to go slip my tires crazy? Or are you, like, just, you know, like, I need to do things a certain way crazy? Because there's a difference.
Well,
Or, like, am I going to fuck your world up crazy? There's
exactly.
levels.
There's levels. And on top of that, like, at the beginning, you keep letting things slide. Because it's at the beginning where everything's, like, wonderful. And you're like, oh, well, I don't want to turn the boat over. It's going so well, so I'll just let it slide. You know, it's fine. It's whatever. Okay, if you keep letting it slide, though, thinking, you know, oh, that's cute that she just took a baseball bat to my windshield. What do you think's going to happen to your future?
I just pictured Harley Quinn.
No, I just pictured the people that destroyed my vehicle. But that's right. I'm looking at
Damn
you.
straight no Harley Quinn.
It made me think of when speaking of that, made me think of that country singer that was singing.
Carrie Underwood.
Yes.
Yeah.
About taking the Louisville Slugger to the both headlights.
Yeah.
But it can be the guys too.
Yeah.
Okay, because like if he ghosts you for like 3 days, you know, I don't know why I'm thinking of that number. But if he ghosts you for like 3 days or something and then just comes back and he's just all like, hey, what's up? And the only time he meets you is at night, you know.
Right.
Just throwing that out there. I don't know anybody like that, but
Yeah.
if he only meets you at like 11 p.m., doesn't introduce you to his friends, ignores you in public and stuff like that, what do you think's gonna happen?
Right.
You know?
That's what I'm saying. Like that's past
I have
red flags.
way
Like, that's
too
you
many
just making a
friends.
stupid decision.
I have way too many
And then
friends that have been
expecting-
through that, so I'm like,
You know, I want to reference a movie on that one.
okay, I'm ready.
It is White Chicks with the Wayans brothers. The girl that was going after the little rich preppy boy.
Yeah, he was with somebody.
Yeah, he was with
one of
somebody,
the-
and he kept coming over to her every time he needed a fresh piece. And he's like, oh, hey, you know, why don't you come over and wear something nice and meet me at like 10 o'clock? And it's,
But straight up ignored her the whole time.
Yep.
Like, anytime that she tried to have a conversation with him, he would literally act like she didn't exist.
exactly.
So, like I said,
Those are
it can go for
stereotypical male.
guys or girls. So, those are your red flags. Don't just sit there and ignore them just because it's at the beginning or because it's going good or because, like I said, you don't want to rock the boat and all. Because if you continue to let that happen, you're giving them permission to do worse next time.
You know, the 3-day rule thing, that's what they call it, where you don't hear from the person for 3 days. For some reason, even with two nice guys, that everybody's told, oh, if you go out with this girl, you need to wait 3 days, quote unquote, to text her back because you don't want to seem too needy or desperate. And so that's how that stigma started, and it's kind of messed up, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, you should.
I
if
think
you
it
feel
falls
like
back to that you want what you can't have. So it's like
Right.
if they're not texting me, I want that. Which
Right.
is so stupid. Why do our brains work like
I
that?
feel that
You know,
you should
like,
be
why?
able to text when you want to text, not, oh, I got to wait this amount of time to text.
Right.
If you feel like texting the person, text them. If you don't, just wait until you do, or...
Yeah.
It's because you.
And I will say though, like women have. I think we've talked about it before. Oh, but how dog paws.
Because she's being tormented. But anyway.
I don't know if guys do the same thing, but women have a tendency to try to fix things, even if they're not necessarily broken. So I think women in that aspect, they kind of do most of it to themselves. Like they will easily turn down a nice guy and go for somebody more complicated because they're like, well, I can't fix nothing about him. He's got his whole life figured out. Where can I insert myself into their life if they have everything figured out? Versus like, you got this guy with all these mental troubles and like openly will tell you like, I'm nuts, I'll key your shit, whatever. And you're like, yeah, I can fix that.
Okay, you paying the
I
personal
can
property
fix that.
taxes on my vehicle? You better not be keying nothing.
But you know,
But putting a key in your ignition and getting the hell up out of here.
It sucks for the guy on the other end, the good guy, but at the same time, I think a lot of it is that mindset of the woman. It's not even, it's outside of that stigma. It's they want to fix somebody. They want to change somebody. It's never let me like you for who you are because you're a good person. It's what can I change about you?
And what
Not
can I
only
fix?
that,
It's
they
like a
wanna
mom
be
thing almost.
Yeah.
actually.
Needed. Do you remember that? Like at the way beginning of
Yeah.
our relationship, you're like, well, you don't need me to do anything because you're too independent.
But yeah,
I
like,
wish I would have just recorded
you
that.
know, that's literally a big part of the narcissistic manipulation too, because it goes hand in hand. It goes hand in hand.
You have to get closer because like
Yeah.
the little dots are so little that means they can't hear you.
It goes hand in hand with that because, like, when you're saying they want to be fixed and this, that, and the other, you know, it's a thing. God, how do I phrase this? So, like, when a person comes to you at the beginning of a relationship and says they do the whole manipulative factor of all my boyfriends did this or all my girlfriends did this to me and blah, blah, blah. They paint you a picture of who they are or what they've been through. So now you're like, I'm not going to be that person.
Right.
I'm going to show them that good stuff does exist. So next thing you know, you're over here catering to this person who fed you a lie and you're basing your whole relationship off of that. Mm-hmm. So that's another crazy factor with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's everybody falls victim to that
All right,
one.
but
It's,
so perspective.
Okay.
If we switch roles, right?
I'm ready.
So if you have, there's a curtain. You don't know what they look like. So it could be baddies, could be saddies. We don't know. Okay? Either way, they're behind the curtain.
Yeah.
One tells you she's been through all this trauma, all this shit, just looking for a good guy. The other one is like, I want a good guy, but I have nothing wrong with me. Like, I've never had a bad relationship. Everybody's treated me great. Life is fabulous.
I would
curtain you
be
gonna go to?
concerned about that one.
Right?
Yes, because she's gonna want the bad boy.
well, either way, I think I'd walk away. But anyway,
Okay, we're not.
But why?
just I guess it's different. If it's like
Could be a baddie.
if
I'm a saddie.
if you say you're a guy who doesn't have very much experience in relationships at all. You know, you're just like, oh, okay, you know, I've been too afraid to date this, that, and the other because blah, blah, blah. And he goes on that show. He's probably, if I was that guy, I would probably go for the one that's been through a lot of stuff.
Like, do you think girls can be manipulative in that aspect? Like,
Yes.
I've been
Yes.
through this, and this.
Yes.
Pity me,
Yes.
love me.
It's also
Total
a test.
personal experience.
It's a test also,
Right.
just to see where you fall in. If you're gonna be that ultra nice guy, or are you going to be that guy? Oh, okay, no, I ain't worried about that. You know,
Oh my god.
Because either way,
I'm
I guess
here
they get
for
a
one
story
thing
out
and
of
one
it.
thing only.
Right.
Uh-huh. So, yeah, a buddy of mine, you know, I've known him all my life.
All my life, I pray for
someone like you. And I thank God
Unrelated.
that he got away from her. So,
Unrelated. My kids' band yesterday, they played "Work" by Rihanna.
oh my
Work,
God.
work, like with the trombones and the drums, and it was crazy. All right, continue.
Yeah. So this guy,
Talent, dude.
this guy got with her, you know, some odd years back, and she gave him this whole spiel about she doesn't trust guys and how her last boyfriend, you know, assaulted her and took advantage of her, treated her like doo-doo, and always made her do everything, and she cleaned the house, and she took care of the kids.
Do I know this?
Yes.
Person.
And quite well, actually.
Oh my god, who is it?
I have no idea. So, yeah, this guy pretty much gave her the world, did everything for her, told her, you know, you can go do this, you can go do that, you know, I'm going to take complete care of you. And she knew from the beginning what kind of person he was, and she just ran with it for years. Like, pretty much she had that poor boy.
That's like taking advantage of the vulnerable.
Exactly. Literally. This guy's got like one hell of a heart. And she literally took advantage of it.
I think I know this bitch.
Yeah. she took advantage of it. This poor guy was, doing the cleaning, doing the outside, he was literally the husband and the wife in their relationship. And she just kept running with it and running with it and running with it.
That poor guy.
Until, he finally, got fed up because hiding behind that curtain, she wasn't who she said she was. And that goes for both ways. There's guys out there too, a lot of them. I don't really like guys, but so there's a lot of guys out there
That's how you really feel. We're
that
gonna get so much hate on those comments, dude.
will literally be, if anybody watches, the popular series Euphoria, there's a lot of Nates out there.
Yeah.
A lot of, I am the king, you're beneath me, all these girls are chasing me because I'm the super Billy bad boy, and everybody's chasing me, and all I do is I get with them, I use them, I abuse them, and then I leave them and go to the next one. But for some reason, everybody flocks to them, which puts the nice guys in last place.
Yes.
It makes, when you get through a guy or a partner that's like that, it literally makes you, A, question the field whether it's worth it or not. B, you hide a lot of things in your new relationships until you know for certain that it's going to work out. And it's really, really hard to trust people. And I really don't know how to break that barrier. It's, how do you break the barrier of being put through the ringer for your whole life and try to open up and trust somebody new?
Only you and Jay can really talk about that from a guy's point of view. From a girl's point of view, the reason that I gave another chance even after being hurt was because this man proved to me everything that I thought was impossible was possible. Don't know who that is.
Sorry, I'm trying to go live on TikTok, but it keeps pulling. So apparently the last time I went live, I was in labor. And so
I was wondering why it said Prego.
even if I change this up here, when I log in, my intro thing is help me have this baby. What? I'm
What
trying to
baby
do a
is it?
podcast.
Whose baby is it?
I got the baby.
What if it's baby, baby?
So I don't know how to change that to fix it. About introduce your live.
Yeah.
It has to be a settings thing.
What do you got to say on
Oh,
that?
but we digress. Okay.
What do you
Tell
got
us
to
what you
say-
think, Jay.
What kind of advice do you got to say when it comes to opening up and...
Shutting the door.
Well, that was perfect timing.
Look, that sounded like a big old rip.
Yeah,
But
I was opening up and...
None of us feel,
Well,
we should cut that out. So we're just.
How
gonna
do
keep it.
you trust...
Nope.
At,
Stay there.
at our age, how do you even begin to open up that field when... I would say between your 30s and your 40s are the hardest to start a new relationship.
it is. It is.
Because everybody prior has already been put through the ringer. If they're available in our age, then chances are they're available for a reason. They've probably been through complete hell and back. How do you break that barrier to start something new?
Well, I would say first you would have to trust yourself and hoping that you are opening up to the correct person. If I'm not saying you should force it, if it feels natural, I say you can open up some, and I wouldn't open a full can of worms per se. I would just a little bit just to see how that takes, and if it goes well, maybe a little bit more, because if you dump everything out on the plate at one time, it's going to either be all good or it's going to go to hell in a handbasket. And it's very tough because a lot of people portray a person that they're not truly are, and you have to have that gut instinct of knowing if you feel it to open up to them. And if you don't, I wouldn't force it and put yourself in a situation.
So like the breadcrumb theory. Put a little breadcrumb out, see how they react to your breadcrumb.
Oh.
Well, edit that out.
Oh, let's talk about
Yeah,
this.
no.
Let's talk about your mouth,
Absolutely
your dirty
not.
mouth, and
Yeah.
we now have to put a trigger warning for.
Put a breadcrumb out there.
What was the other one where I lost like everything I was at like an hour? Oh, I'm boring.
I'm boring, so I'm going bowling.
My apologies. I barely sleep and I work 10-hour shifts at Amazon overnight, so.
Get away from my pickle.
But yeah.
The dog keeps trying
Well,
to get
this
my pickle.
podcast is NC-17, but yeah.
Oh shit!
Just keep on
We're
going.
all failing here, you guys.
Yeah. The breadcrumb theory.
Become.
Yeah. Where you put it out there to give them a little bit at a time. You know, I did something kind of the same thing when I was in middle school. I really liked this girl, and I mentioned it to a person that I had liked her, and he made this whole story out there, and it got back around to her, the phone theory. By the time you pass it to one person, and it gets back to the original one, it's so much worse.
Yeah.
So it's when you start seeing someone, I guess in a sense, that's pretty good advice to don't throw all your eggs in a basket at one time. Just hey, let's go out to eat. Let's go to a movie. Don't expect anything out of it.
Yeah, and like take your time. Take your time and don't sit there and think that there's like a time limit for things that you absolutely have to do this. Like, just go with the flow, go with what makes you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
That's for men or women. Like, there is no time frame of where you're supposed to be in life or what you're supposed to be doing. Like, this is supposed to be just a part of your adventure in life. It's not supposed to be like I have to do this, otherwise I'm nobody.
Maybe it's
agree.
like too exciting. It's like, oh my god, this might be a great thing. Let me marry you, like real quick.
And
We'll get married right now.
Yeah, and then it's like, a couple months down the road, like shit's falling apart, and you're like, are you staying for my building? I don't understand.
I agree with that because if someone's starting to rush something that quickly, it kind of makes you question what is their motive behind being rushed, because it shouldn't be a time period. It should all come natural on what you want to do and how you want to do it. Not, since we get along, let's get married. Boom.
Right.
No,
Oh yeah.
and everybody is different in the aspect of when they think their time is right, and as long as you think it's your time, then do it. If you don't think it's your time and you're being rushed, don't do it.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree.
Just like I waited about a year and a half before I even attempted to start the date after my wife passed away and everything. Where a lot of people, and I've seen it and I've heard of it, within weeks they're out dating after their significant other has passed away. And I was like, no, I'm not going to. I was going to give myself a minimum of a year, but I was not going to do anything after that. I just let it naturally occur and do anything of that sort.
We're trying to get snippets, guys.
Snippets. Snippety.
Yeah,
Snippety cricket.
I do agree with that. I mean, sometimes just moving on too quickly. Like, I get that, you get accustomed to being with somebody and you don't want to be alone, but at the same time, like, you have to give yourself that time to find yourself again. You can't expect happiness in a new relationship if you're not happy with yourself. So no breakup is necessarily easy. So you have to find a way to heal from that before jumping into either the same thing or something similar or even something brand new. You have to give yourself that time. And I think a lot of people just don't want to give themselves that time.
Exactly. And another thing is, you got to love yourself before you can love someone else. If you don't love yourself, you cannot love someone else properly.
Yep.
Wholeheartedly
And
agree.
people think,
Facts, no print.
oh, the only way I can love myself is if I'm in a relationship. No, it doesn't work that way.
There's so many out there like that.
Yes.
And I tell you, one other thing he said is how people you consider your friends, aren't really your friends because you have one view upon things and they're over here being the stereotypical pig-headed man that thinks that, they're entitled, to have somebody, at their will. So I myself have had that in the past. People I considered my friend, I didn't really understand the definition of friend, apparently.
Right.
But people you think are your friend are really not your friend because you kind of let yourself, at a young age, you let yourself be peer pressured into joining a group of people to make yourself popular. And even in your 20s, 20s and 30s, you find out quickly, from what it sounds like this, listener is, you find out real quickly just how few there are of you. And all the people that you've been hanging out with, you start to pick apart because they just don't share your views. Mm-hmm. And my thing, it's better to be without those friends than it is to change who you are and roll with the punches.
Yeah.
Separate yourself. I mean, I did. I got away from my toxic friends who were literally all the same. Some of them have been married 3, 4, 5 times, and got multiple kids around the globe. It's just they don't share your values. And if they don't support you with being who you are, then they're not your friend.
Yeah, I agree. And this is another thing too, because I said this yesterday. A real friend is going to hold you accountable 100%. They're not going to coddle you. They're not going to enable you. They're not going to sit there and say, oh, well, I just don't want to say anything because, I don't want to cause an argument. A real friend is going to give that tough love. And I'm not talking about the real mean ones either, because some people can go overboard. But just that good balance of, well, I mean, it kind of seems like you were in the wrong, or, maybe look at it from their point of view and recognize that, hey, you wouldn't want to be treated that way either. That's a real friend.
Yes.
That's somebody that's going to hold you accountable 100%. I can vouch that for Ashley. I can vouch that for Jay. I've known them for forever. And just like with Hoss too. Never, ever did it ever come to a thing where I was, maybe I shouldn't say that. Except for maybe with Hoss because of other reasons that were around us. But when it came to I just don't think that maybe that was the right move, but I can understand why you would do something like that because I wasn't in the situation, so I can't say, hey, I wouldn't do that.
Right.
I can totally agree with that. And there has been times where Trish has actually, she's always been a great friend. She's my female best friend, but she has stepped up and been legit real with me, and on a circumstance that I'll leave off the podcast at this point in time, but she knows it was Dylan at the hospital, and she knows what it was, and I knew she didn't even have to say nothing, just the look in her eyes and her demeanor of, you did wrong, and and that's a true friend, where a lot of them would have been like, oh, you're all right, just brush it off and keep going.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I feel like, that's a good, calm, way of telling someone, hey, I wouldn't have personally, done that, or it doesn't seem like it would be, the right thing to do, but I can understand why you did it, how you did it.
Right.
But a real friend will hold you accountable, and a real partner will too.
Yes.
A real partner is going to support you and encourage you and be there for you, even in your bad moments. But they're still going to say, how would you feel if something, like that happened to you? Would you feel that way, that you want that other person to feel that was in the same situation as you, And if the answer is no, that's a real partner. That's a real friend.
Or at least be grown up enough to admit that you can't relate. Be like,
Yes.
you know, I'm not trying to be shitty, but I can't relate, so I don't know what to say to you. Or,
Yeah.
you know, like, for instance, my sister comes to me all the time for advice, and there's times where I'm like, I feel the same way, so I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'm not being shitty about it. I'm just being honest. Like, I don't know how to help. I don't know what that is. Somebody in our live on TikTok said, I want to see what you look like without glasses, please. No.
Well.
I already got on yesterday's eyebrows. But,
Wow.
yeah, that threw me. I was trying to ignore it, but, like, it's just sitting at the screen, so it's
Wow.
hard to just ignore it.
That's well, you get those people, you know. There's your literally the topic of our podcast. No,
Hey, unrelated, did I tell you guys I made a feet finder for 2 days?
oh,
Let me fucking tell you. So I did. We'll just fill this void while Jay is not sitting here. So I made a feet finder. Easy, by the way. Easy to make for those of you wanting to sell photos of your feet. Quick verification. You basically take a selfie with your ID, and that's good enough. So
isn't that like?
So you join in, and I did get a lot of messages. Nobody ever actually paid me. It's just sitting there.
Twice.
Oh my. But nobody ever actually paid me for feet pictures. There was conversations. Everybody was trying to get me to go to these other platforms. Like, hey, do you have Kik? Do you have Instagram? Do you have this? Basically, to avoid paying
like
the
a-
feet finder
yep.
fees. So I'm like, no, shut it out. No, shut it out. I found one guy who, like, completely wanted to be degraded. And I mean, by everybody has their own thing. You know what I mean? But I found I didn't know how to do that. I was like, how do I openly tell this guy, like, he's a piece of shit when I don't know him?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but then I'm looking, because you can review people that buy the pictures, right? So his reviews are like, great guy to play with, and like, da-da-da-da, such a, you know, he deserves nothing but something, like, basically people just talk shit to him and like degrade, and I'm like, poor man, like,
Who hurt you?
right, who hurt your feelings, Sasquatch? That was his screen name, Sasquatch. Who hurt your feelings?
That's literally euphoria.
But ultimately, so I thought, I'm like, all right, this is my one, like, he's gonna bite. Nah, never did. He said something about family, and I was like, I'm deleting this. I feel like shit. Like, I felt fucking horrible, and I deleted it.
What was the girl on Euphoria? Was it Kat? Was her name?
Cassie.
Cassie, where she got onto this online forum of kind of like a dominatrix, and then one guy paid her so much money to,
Oh no, that was Kat.
oh yeah, to degrade her paws.
She gets anxious about like her paws. Dog paws.
He paid her like thousands of dollars to pretty much degrade him, insult him.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's a thing. I don't know.
Unfortunately, it is.
And I'm sure there's people who are good at it. Like, you know,
I can't-
I'm sure there's women out there that are great at it. And I'm like, I literally messaged this guy, I'm not kidding you. And I said, buy my fucking stinky feet pictures, is what I messaged him. And he still didn't take it, so I guess I didn't do good enough. I don't know. I was like, I thought I did pretty good. You know what I mean?
Pretty
Nailed
hardcore.
it. I sent it. I'm like, nailed it. Nope. Didn't buy it. It wasn't good enough.
Yeah, well, I don't know. That's
It's weird, right? I saw some weird things. If you ever want to feel normal, go to that website.
I hate
You'll be
feet.
like, all right, I'm good.
I don't like feet. Feet are like the workhorse.
So
of your
that's
body.
another thing. I'm like, how am I supposed to entertain this? If somebody touches my foot, I will kick you in the face. Like, I'm
Yeah.
so ticklish,
Yes.
I cannot. So, and then on top of that, like, somebody wants to lick my toes.
Ooh.
That's fucking gross.
It's the
Like,
wor-
I
yes,
will
literally.
kick you in your fucking face.
I like they didn't even wear shoes back in the old days.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, who came up with that? You know, yeah, let me just, I like that sand between your toes. Let me,
Bro.
it's prehistoric. It's got fossil fuels. It's like
Exactly. Yeah, one of the guys' profile I saw was like, the dirtier your feet, the better, or something like that. And I'm like, ugh. Like, I'm over here on the other end of the phone, like, ugh.
like
Half this episode's me gagging. I don't know if it's good or bad. We'll get some clout.
I was about to say you're gonna get clout that you don't really want.
Yeah. Let me take your
Yeah.
glasses off and gag for me, please.
well, I know we got breadcrumb over
I'm
here.
gonna
so
get banned from TikTok.
We are. You're gonna get banned for something, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah, not to digress though, but you know.
But I
fine.
feel like both sides, men and women, can both be shitty people. Ultimately, you just have to find that filter and find what's gonna work for you. And ultimately, like, your happiness is more important than theirs. And that sounds really shitty, but like, you have to be happy first before you can try to make somebody else happy.
Exactly.
So-
That is
Exactly.
I'm
That
not
is
saying
good
be an
advice.
asshole, but
that's good advice.
maybe be an asshole sometime. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with that.
Well, no, like, because you setting boundaries and doing what you need to do for yourself is not being an asshole.
No, it's not.
It's literally being your own personal friend. It's self-care in the best way. It's
Nice.
self-love in the best way.
Right.
You should always set healthy boundaries.
Right.
Yep.
And I'm not talking those over-the-top ones, because there's some over-the-top
Yeah.
ones, but I'm talking good, healthy, solid
Yeah,
boundaries.
Exactly.
And everybody should do that. That's not just a male or a female thing. That's everybody. And the world could be so much different.
Yes.
Yeah. That, and if those people, if you're trying to work on yourself and make yourself the best person you could possibly be, and other people are criticizing you for it, they're messy. Just don't even worry about it. You know, they're jealous, they're angry at the world, and they don't have the willpower to do it for themselves.
Yeah.
So just leave them out.
I say if people can't respect your boundaries, then they don't need to be around you or in your life, because
Yup.
there's no room for toxicity or drama or any
In
of
the
that.
city. Okay.
Yo, what do you want? Wow.
Toxicity, varsity.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree.
So just don't be shitty, and treat people how you want to be treated, and just be considerate at the same time, because you don't know what somebody else has went through. And I
But-
think that's like keys to success, man. Oh, we're chewing. on this.
That's
At the same time, like, you don't know what somebody's been through, but at the same time, make sure you just follow your breadcrumb rule. Don't be like, don't believe everything that everybody says either. Because they could be looking for a certain type of person themselves, and if you count all your chickens before they hatch, and then just be like, oh, okay, hey, this person treated me right on one date. Let me just tell them everything, that I've been through, and this, that, the other, and and then
You're my
next thing you
soulmate.
know,
You're my soulmate.
yeah, you're my soulmate, and we were meant to
Jenny.
be together, and and that's my boat. But
Hey, that's a good example. Jenny treated him like shit,
yep,
Yes.
and he loved her.
yep.
He loved Jenny.
But at the same time, she was
John,
the only one that treated him like he was human, even though she treated him like doo doo.
You're a millionaire.
Yep, we got 12 Gen A's, but
I was just a running.
Mama says these is my magic shoes. You're eating a napkin, my guy.
I'm telling you,
Oh goodness.
patient, paper thin,
So maybe if we just like train our kids to, run relationships right, like the next generation coming up like won't have such toxicity in their relationships. But I say that, and then like my kids in there got a middle school relationship, and they're toxic as fuck to each other.
Yeah,
But I remember those middle school relationships. Like I said, I was talking about earlier, like
yeah.
fight
Where's
about
a
everything. This girl looked at you. This boy looked at you.
Yep.
It's kind of inevitable. I wish that could change.
that, and there's a lot going on with
Hormones.
a mixture of hormones and sexual coercion, to the point of where you have been through, this person doing this and this person doing that. So you're like, oh man, maybe if the next person I get with, maybe if we throw that on the table up front, then they won't leave, and they won't treat me bad because I'm not holding out.
Right.
One of our listeners kind of is in the same boat. It's, man, I've seen this and I've seen that, and then this person did this to me, this, that, and the other. The only thing that's different is, the mating ritual.
Right.
You know, so
Mating ritual.
they made that mistake and jumped forward as fast as possible, thinking that that's what it takes to keep a relationship. And now their person that they did that is kind of doing the ghosting.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
think
it's like-
either way, like, you have to go in with somebody that's, both of you have to be cautious, especially if both of you are coming out of bad relationships. You know, that's something you have to accept. You have to understand y'all both been through some shit, and you got to tread lightly. But that doesn't mean ignore it either, because then that's when you run into issues of later on it's going to come back out.
One thing I was gonna say about what y'all were talking about, breaking the cycle and everything. The bad thing about it, it's very difficult to break a cycle when you're used to being around a certain set of people, even if it's toxic parents or toxic friends. You got to find other people like you, like-minded people like you that can break that cycle, because you got to have that support around you to be able to break that cycle, because if not, it's very difficult to do, because you don't know how to do it or what to do and where to start.
Right. Yeah.
Agreed.
Agreed.
I think I had some pretty good advice, this
Yeah.
episode, as far as, our listener goes.
Yeah. The dude that found our card at Planet
Yeah.
Fitness.
By the way, keep looking out. They're everywhere.
Hey.
We've got, we still do our brunches, at Alibis. We still do, go to the gym regularly. We, Starbucks. But anyway, yeah.
Starbucks.
So everybody loves Starbucks. But, and if you don't, I'm sorry. Somebody hurt you. But, but yeah, just keep your eye open. There's cars, everywhere.
Yeah. You've been really good at just
Yeah,
leaving
I
them
strategically
randomly.
placed them in spots where literally you can't miss them.
One thing
I've even placed them at work.
One thing I would like to say on that is, I'm glad that you guys are out here producing this podcast to help people, because unfortunately y'all had to go through things just like myself in the past, and we didn't have that outlet, but here's an outlet for it. So if anyone is going through anything, listen to the podcast, subscribe to it, like it. And if somebody's going through it and it could help, tell them about it so they can start listening. And it's not about building this channel; it's about helping people. And
That's the goal.
That's the goal.
And
not
it's
help
free.
Anybody.
And it's free.
Yeah, it doesn't cost anything.
It's like free therapy.
There is no. Oh my God, pay $3.99 a month to get our episodes.
Fast forward
No.
2 years. Enter your insurance card here, please.
Yeah,
Look,
You must have a
somebody's gonna
major
end up
credit
finding this
card
one
to
day, and they're
subscribe
gonna
to
be
this
like,
pod.
"We're gonna sponsor you, but you're gonna make your
that's-
listeners pay."
that's not what we're about.
No,
We are
I
literally.
wish we would have had something like this growing up.
Yeah, this is pretty
Straight
much
up.
your self-help and friendly advice podcast for mental health and
Yeah, and you're
trauma
not
bonding.
alone.
You're not alone.
Like, don't let them narcissistic
I am.
people in your life tell you, "Oh, you're the only one that feels
Yeah.
that way." You're not.
We have all walks of life on here too. We have older people. We have teenagers. We have men who's been through toxic relationships, women who's been through toxic, sexual, coercion and molestation and this, that, and the other. We have everything on here. And it's not just, oh, let me read the story out of a book. No, these are personal experiences,
Yeah.
from people we know, people coming on to share, so it's not like we're reading out of a catalog and this, that, the other. You guys are the ones that write into us and let us know your story, and we talk about it.
Yeah.
100% not scripted, clearly.
Clearly not scripted.
Literally.
We don't have a
Literally.
teleprompter here telling us, hey, my tiny little nipples went to France, like Bruce Almighty.
Yeah, and thanks for, trusting us goober heads to pretty much tell your story.
Yeah.
Like, I can pretty much relate just about every podcast that I've listened to, and I have a similar story to, or one very much like, no matter if it's small or large, I can relate to just about every podcast that has been so, and I know it's helped me a lot.
Well, thanks, Jay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bartholomew.
Well, I don't blow smoke. Anybody knows me knows I don't blow smoke.
No, that's Canada right now.
They don't want the smoke.
Right, that is Canada right now. But I am an outside of the box thinker, so I don't take sides on anything. I speak what I feel that is the way I feel. If it's the truth or whatnot, I try to speak the best possible. And if someone's in the wrong on anything, I have no problem saying, "Hey, this is what it is," and I try to be truthful. I don't try to pick sides on anything. I try to be as straightforward as possible.
It's the way to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a real friend. See, that's what we see.
You see?
So hopefully, we answered every, not really question that you had in your message, but
Hopefully
every aspect of your message
there
that
you go. Yeah, I hope we touched on. Touched on every
everything.
aspect of your.
If nothing else, at least you know you're not alone. Yeah, tell them.
Yeah, even the baby said it correctly.
You heard it straight from his mouth. In the form of Morse code.
Exactly. I agree, buddy. And that's what he said, and he meant it.
He agrees. Be wholehearted, take it cautiously, because trust me, even though there's people out there you may be looking for that have been through the ringer, all it takes really is the right one to come along, and next thing you know, you're happily ever after.
Exactly.
It's
100%. So with that, the baby is done,
Yeah, he's had enough.
and he's ready to end this.
Literally trying to yank everything off.
He is. He's yanking all the cords. He's like,
I had
all
my
of
power
this is
nap.
mine.
Let me attack.
He's even taking the teacup.
Don't
He's
tell me what to do.
Where's my tea?
I am the boss, baby.
So keep, bringing in the text messages, the cards, which I love, and all your emails. Pretty much, thank you for trusting us.
Yeah.
Keep on keeping on.
Us poor sheep people. The black sheep of the well. And, take it easy. Stay safe. I'm
Stay
playing with the
tuned.
baby.
It's a big distraction. It's so hard.
He is, but he's so cute. I want some.
Stay
I
tuned
want
for the
some
next
baby.
episode of Dragon Ball Z. Anyway, so
I think next week is the friend episode, the toxic friends and stuff. That's gonna be interesting. The smear campaign.
Smear
That's what we call it,
campaigning. That's
smear
what next week
campaigning.
is.
So y'all go ahead, send them in. We want to literally hear everything that you have about toxic friends and smear campaigning and narcissistic stuff. And the baby agrees. Oh, you have a story already?
Yeah, this
Here,
kid
let me
in,
hold it. Let me
this kid
hold
in
the mic.
hospital, he was crying real loud. I couldn't sleep.
Okay, you guys. With that, we're done because the dogs are arguing too. So, thank you, Jay, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
It will not be his last. The baby's taking the mic.
Microphone checker.
Yep, baby's taking the mic. Okay, Hoss, lead us out with serenading our audience since they want you to have an OnlyFans. We're ready.
I could be part of your world.
Thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
Peace.
Bye-bye.
Bye.